This is the final go no go poll for Flight 3 of Starship. Invite 2. Go. Stage 1. Go. Stage 2. Go. Flight director is go for launch.
We are at 2:00 today, and I'm James Melton. It is June 11th, 2024. James Melton, Chief Ambassador for the moment of the Mars Society. And I want to welcome you all aboard, ambassadors. I'm going to let a couple more people in here, admit all. Yes, we have a number of people on. Ashton Zeth's coming on board. Excellent. We've got an exciting program today. One of the first things that we're going to do is talk about Bill Carton's trip to the Starship 4 launch. And for those of you who don't know Bill, he is one of our esteemed ambassadors in Oregon, and he speaks at the Science Museum. He does a number of talks at various local pubs, real casual meetings, and he gets out there and about and does some real good work. So, Bill, I've been looking forward to this. We've been talking about it ever since the launch. By the way, a raise of hands, how many actually got up and watched the Starship launch? Great, great, yeah. We were there with our little PPIs, but it was a little delay on it, but not bad, not bad at all. So, Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're at 2:02 here. I know you're going to talk for about 10 minutes or so, but we're flexible. We like to remain flexible when at all possible. So, Bill, the show is yours. I know you have some slides. Looking forward to those.
And thank you. And please, I'm not sure while I'm talking about the slides that I can see people who raise their hands or something for a question, but please maybe unmute yourself and break in.
That's good.
It won't bother me at all. It's the way it is at brew pubs. There's no downside to that.
Right.
Free beer, I give a talk.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, share a screen. Here we go. I had this fantasy of going to IFT4, and then I heard there was a heat bubble coming, and it was going to be over 100 down there, high humidity. I said, maybe I don't like this so much, but in any event. So if you've seen my slideshows before, I'm used to be a NASA. I used to get NASA social media credentials to go to launches in the Cape, and behind the scenes access and all that stuff for SpaceX things. I'm no longer write so much for Facebook, but that's where the audience is that I chose to write for. So in any event, let me put my cursor in the screen. So everybody should be familiar with Starship. This is a rerun of a slide I've done before, but it's not so shiny on the top, but it should be. They've changed since this original rendering came out. But it is the hugest thing around, taller than Saturn V, double the thrust, 10 million pounds weight or mass at liftoff, 33 Raptor engines. Take it off. So I had this fantasy, I'm going to take a road trip down to Texas. So then I actually made it to Brownsville and made it out. This was the original launch day on Wednesday. So I made it about noon. And this was a pilgrimage for me. So upper left corner is looking over the high bays, the two mega bays and the high bay at the build site. My first view of the rocket was through haze. That's the upper middle. First, I drove all the way to the end. Boca Chica Beach, which is Route 4 that closed for all the activity. Boca Chica Beach is the upper right. It's a tiny, unless you can drive on sand, tiny parking area. I wouldn't say it's a ratty little beach. It's not a world-class beach by any means. Then I did a panorama of from the end of the road, looking back at the launch site. SpaceX has a nice little entrance there. On the lower left is me with the rocket. You can get 100 yards from the rocket that's going to launch in 24 hours. Actually, 20 hours.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of history there. The lower middle, that's Hoppy. That's there. They put a lot of things like weather sensors on it. Now it's never going to fly again, but definitely good old Hoppy is still there. These slides will be more useful if you go to YouTube and check out RGV aerial photography. But I've got some updates here. These will be more useful if you watch the video later. You can single step through the slides and see them. But from southwest to northeast, the sites are called Massey's. That's a former shooting range that they bought. Massey's took the money and reopened closer to town, so they're happy. That's used mostly for testing for things that they used to test at the launch site. Sanchez and the build site are together. That's where they build everything, and then the launch site is right at the tip of land. So the Rio Grande Valley aerial photography, look them up on YouTube. Just search for RGV aerial or RGV aerial photography. Find them on YouTube. It's the best way that I've seen, even better than watching Tim Dodd. These guys do weekly updates with thousands of people doing image analysis to find out what's changed at the various sites. They explain it very well, and highly recommend either contributing to them on Patreon or just watch the videos. They're fantastic. So what's happening at the Massey site? This was the gun range. What they're building in the lower right corner there is a new static fire trench. They used to use either the launch mount or a suborbital test launch mount for starships at the launch site. Now that doing tests interrupts everything going on at the launch site, and they're doing massive amounts of work on the tank farm and the chillers and the flame deflector and the launch mount. So it'll be really useful to get all the testing, like pressure testing, proof testing, and now they're building a flame trench so they can do hot fires, static fires of boosters and starships, and not interrupt activity at the launch site. The rest of it is testing, where they do things like mechanical. They call it can crusher. They do a mechanical test to try to crunch various tanks together. The Sanchez site is to the west of the main build site. This is where there's hundreds of people, either on video or by discussing it on Reddit, are doing things like watching the rings that they're using to fabricate the rockets from. They're called Texas ring watchers, and there's people much more obsessed than I about figuring out what they're doing with various rings. There's also a build site in the lower center of the picture about the next orbital launch tower, which is going up. They have almost all the segments are there. There's 4 are in the middle of coming from the port of Brownsville. They're coming. There's one hold out there, lower right corner, private land that people haven't sold out yet. Then they're building. There's who knows 4,000 or 5,000 people working at the site now. They can't park all over the road, so they're building parking garage. Here's what's happening at the building. There's Mega Bay 1 and 2 for building boosters. They can work on 4 to 5 boosters at a time in there. Then there's High Bay where they build the starships. They do a lot of work outdoors, but it's nice to be indoors in Texas sun. And everything where they've got this 1 million square foot star factory now is used to be tent buildings, used to be outside, and used to be just barely protected from the weather. Now it's enclosed. Lower right building, office building construction. What's happening at the launch site is on the left, they're building another tower base with better foundation pilings put in than the first one. Everything in the middle is tankage for either liquid nitrogen, compressed nitrogen, methane, liquid oxygen, and various chillers that you need for subcooling the propellants. Where I was called Raptor Roost, 3.87 miles. It's inside the radius where the police close the roads. So, but they're not in the radius where you have to evacuate. So, anybody who had an invitation to go there, as long as you were there, didn't leave the property, couldn't sneak over with a ghillie suit or anything to sneak your way onto the closer to the launch site, although everybody thinks about that. But 3.8 miles, that's close enough. Aerial view. It looks like, it's just a guy's shack that he's built onto, and now he rents out for invitation only to campers. Here's what it looked like just on launch day. We had a couple of Cybertrucks there, one with a ramp. Top center is the view. It was hazy. It got cloudy. We actually couldn't see half the wall because of the haze and clouds. But the exciting part is, and I had to enhance this picture on the left. That's the view from where I was standing for the launch. The sound from the camera, which is coming up next, from my phone, is pretty lame. But it captures the essence and how I couldn't even see where the rocket was. So until the end of this 45-second clip, you don't really know where the rocket is. But it did everything I was hoping to for this long investment of time and money to get there. Had about 3 minutes of sound. It rumbled your guts and it flapped your clothes. It was everything I was looking for. I hope you can hear it. Then again, we're not going to see it until the very end. I move the camera. Oh, finally, you can see. There's professional photographers with close-in cameras, and SpaceX with a drone. You get much better pictures than I do. Here's the SpaceX drone picture of the liftoff. It doesn't show the clouds that we got horizontally. Here's a quick picture of the hot staging boosting. Nobody else has ever done hot staging and recovered a booster from it. Titan 2, 3, 4, they used to do hot staging, but who cares what happens to the booster with an IC or Gemini launch vehicle. They actually got, the booster came down. It had engine problems at the end, but the booster came down. Elon said spot on where they expected it to. It was shocking to everybody. And they released, we sort of hoped they had video, but they released the stabilized video of the water landing. And let me run this.
Fascinating, Bill. This is really great.
skipped some videos, but I've just got one more that I really wanted to show, which is the Starship. It came down, Elon said, within 6 kilometers of where they predicted, which is insane for a ship that was burning up. It didn't burn up the propellant tanks. The heat tiles on the belly worked fine. The heat tiles, especially around the junction, the joint of the movable flaps was not so good. So hot plasma got inside one or probably more, if it's a design issue, of the movable flaps. And poor Flappy here is burning up from the inside out, shedding fragments all the way down. And it did its job. The Starship came in, did the belly flop maneuver, turned on the engines, and landed in the ocean. I don't have video of that. There may be some from a NASA aircraft, but that was just astounding that it worked even as it was dying.
Bill,
So
thank you so much for this overview. Well, really felt like I was there. And you got that picture of that right flap. I know that Elon said the right flap, front flap got cooked, but the process for rehabilitating that is on its way, and we'll be in good shape for number 5, which I think, according to Elon, is going to be in about another month. So
yeah,
stay tuned.
Elon time might come. The next like 5 or 6 are in really advanced stages of construction.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bill Carton. Ambassador Bill, I'll tell you, you never cease to amaze me. Ed, you have a quick question?
A plug. Yesterday, Elon gave a very interesting interview, his assessment of flight number 4 and what he has planned for flight number 5. And we posted the interview on our Reddit, our subreddit at r/Mars Society. And you can see the interview on Reddit.
Yeah,
There's another layer of protection under the heat shields for flight number 5. Another layer of protection underneath the heat shields. But listen to Elon and see the interview on Reddit.
It's good. Thank you for sending that, Ed. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry that Elon was playing a video game while he was doing the interview, but nevertheless, I guess when you're that IQ level, you can do several things at once. Me,
I
I'm
can't.
one-on-one. But all right, there are many of you who know Ashton Zeth, but not like you will know her. Ashton is the host of the Mars Society Red Planet Live podcast. As the Mars Society ambassador, her target audience is high school students with a focus on STEM and space exploration, becoming an interplanetary species, and the future settlement of Mars. She was accepted as NASA Social, which is a program for space enthusiasts to learn and share information about NASA missions, the people, and the programs. She holds a degree in communication and business from Washington State University, and she resides in the state of Washington. Ashton is an account executive at Nintex, a technology company for automation and process management software. And she also is the president of Nintex Toastmasters Public Speaking Club. And I am very pleased to say that she will be transitioning into the position of chief ambassador that I have held for the past 4.5 years under the new title of Ambassador Director. Ashton, I am proud to welcome you as our new Ambassador Director.
Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate it. Excited to be taking this role, specifically, an opportunity to get to know all of you a little bit more. I do have just a couple slides, talk a little bit about kind of the goals as we move forward. Let me share my screen real quick so that I can show you my slides. I put these things together. I might as well show them. Let me know. Can you see my screen okay?
We sure can.
Excellent. Okay. And quickly, like Jim had just mentioned, I do host the Mars Society's podcast, Red Planet Live. So for this month, I'm going to be speaking with Executive Director James Burke. Going to be talking about Mars Society news, including the newly launched Mars Technology Institute, MTI, as well as AI, which we know is a hot topic right now, any MDRS updates and everything in between. But just wanted to start off with that. And again, just say thank you to James for, Jim, all you've done for the last 4 years and starting this program, welcoming all of us into the ambassador role. I know they're big shoes to fill. Not sure if I'll be able to do that, but I sure am going to try. And I'm glad that you'll still be here. You're not gone. So everybody don't be afraid or sad that he's going to leave us. He's not. He's still here. But we're evolving on our next phase, and so I'm happy to be a part of that. But I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. I know that I've had an opportunity to meet some of you I don't know as well, but I want to reintroduce myself so that you feel comfortable approaching me. First, as Jim said, I'm from Washington. I've lived a few places within the state. I married my college sweetheart last year, but we've actually been together for 13 years. We waited a while, but honestly, that was good. He recently graduated from law school and he is diligently studying for the bar. So proud of him. Being from Puyallup, I love the Puyallup Fair. I like sci-fi, true crime docs. So if you've got any good recommendations, please send them my way. I'm gonna post my email here in a second. Cycling classes, like stationary bikes, bump into music. That's a lot of fun as well. And of course, talking about space, that's my other favorite thing to do. I should mention, I currently work for a company called Nintex. Essentially, I sell automation and process management solution. What does that mean? I help businesses to reduce some of their manual paperwork. I help them do it more efficiently with a software that speeds it up. I used to work in professional sports. So if you like baseball, I can tell you about my time working for the Seattle Mariners. That was a lot of fun. And like I mentioned, I host the podcast. That has been an incredible opportunity to meet so many individuals and get to connect with people from the space industry. So I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity. Outside of Nintex, obviously, Mars Society Ambassador. I've also participated in the NASA Social Program, and I am a judge for Future Engineers, which is a program they do in school to encourage STEM. So I've been a judge for that as well a few times, which has been a lot of fun. So specifically for the Ambassador Program, some of my thoughts, some goals. This is very high level. I've only known about this promotion for about a day, 2 days. So it's relatively new. So don't, harp on this too much, but just wanted to call out a few things. Specifically for my goals and objective, it's to be your advocate. My success is your success. Therefore, my goal is to support you in your role and serve as a resource to you. My hope is that I can help provide you with the tools for success. So what does that mean? If you came to me and said you wanted to improve your public speaking, I can provide you with some suggestions, some resources on how you could potentially become a better and more confident speaker. For example, Toastmasters, which Jim mentioned as well. That's one thing I would potentially suggest to you. If you wanted help with PowerPoints, how do I get better at PowerPoint? I've got some suggestions for that as well. Along those lines, maybe there's somebody that you want to connect with or that you're trying to make contact with. I have a wide network across tech, space, and sports. So I'm happy to make introductions as needed. For example, in Washington, the Space Northwest org, which James Burke is a part of, is hosting Space Week next week. Specifically, they're doing Space Night at the ballpark. So if you live in Washington, if you're in the Seattle area, go on June 13th. It's Space Night at the ballpark. I know the organizers on both ends that work for the Mariners and that work for Space Northwest. So like I said, if you need an introduction, I'm happy to do that as well. I want to make you feel more connected within the Mars Society, within your fellow ambassadors and the space community. So let me know how I can do that. At a high level, some of my goals, I would love to see us at 100 ambassadors. It's a lofty goal, but I think we could get there. And we would see, us double and tripling our efforts. Secondly, on their social media presence, we live in a digital world. I work for a tech company. I live and breathe tech all day, every day. I think that taking advantage of social media is going to be an important link for us to spread awareness about the Mars Society and its purpose, to influence more people, to support our overall goal, and potentially bring more individuals into the ambassador program. So I'm excited about that. I'm currently working on a social media plan and some efforts, so stay tuned for more of that coming. The last piece I have on here is collaboration. I want to learn more about all of you, what motivates you, why did you join the Mark Society and the Ambassador Program? So I'm working on putting together a survey that's going to come out in a couple of weeks. I promise it's not lengthy, it's not difficult, it's just asking your couple questions and your opinions, but I'd love to see everybody fill those out. So stay tuned. Upcoming convention, I know that some of you are going. I'm hoping to see many of you there. It is local to Seattle, which I live in Washington. So I will be there. I used to live in Seattle. So if you need some recommendations for restaurants, places to go, hotels, I got you. But my hope would be that we can coordinate some sort of get together for all the ambassadors that are going to be in town. And lastly, the piece I have on there is technology. Again, I work in tech. That's what I do every day. I help people work more efficiently using technology. So I would love to have some technology that we incorporate more for us, just to increase our collaboration, our visibility, our ease of use. For example, James Burke wants to utilize Mighty Networks. I think that's a better way for us to communicate. I know that like I'm terrible at email. I have a really high demanding job. So I'm on the computer all day. So sometimes email isn't the fastest way for me to communicate. But if there's a form of communication that you like better, please let me know. I just want to make sure that we're able to, again, to collaborate. So whatever is the best way to do that, I'm all ears. Okay, that's my spiel. I ran through that real quick. Any questions that you guys have for me? I'm going to post my email as well, so you guys can reach out to me if you have any questions or thoughts, concerns, hopes, dreams.
Far away if anyone has any questions at the moment, whatever that might be. I can't see all of your screen. Matt, actually, there you go. If anybody has a question, just unmute yourself and ask Ashton. This is an excellent time to welcome her aboard. Go right ahead.
Yeah, this is Ronnie. Welcome aboard, and hope to see you at the convention.
Thanks, Ronnie. I'm excited to see you as well. We'll have to do a rerun of our photo from last year.
Yeah, that'll work.
Excellent. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, I was going to go on a panel discussion with James, but I realized it's not being streamed. So we do have a little extra time, and I wouldn't mind taking a few minutes and talking about change, because that's what our ambassador program is all about, making changes in our future. So, and you can't change the future without changing the present. And let me just elaborate about that just a moment. If you take a pebble and you throw it into a pond, you'll see the ripple effect, and the pond is changed forevermore. If the pebble had not gone in there, maybe the pond would have taken another path. And it's kind of the same thing with us. The future responds to our command, physically and mentally. When you move your hand, the universe moves. It's subtle, but it's inevitable. But when you move your mind, we're talking major ripple and massive change. Now, the problem is a lot of people don't move their minds very far. Albert Schweitzer was once asked, what's wrong with people today? He said, people just don't think. Well, I don't think that's the case here today, but I'd like us to expand our thinking, because we're going to talk a little bit about your future. And it's interesting to note, when you know the future, it's not that difficult to figure out what to do in the present moment. It's called hindsight. We've all experienced it. But flip it around, reverse it a little bit. When you know the present moment, where you are, how your finances are, how your relationships are, how you're feeling, it's not that difficult to predict the future. And we all have one. Actually, we have a number of them. We have a probable future, and we have an improbable future. We have a number of improbable futures. Now, the probable future is, when I finish this talk, we'll probably go about our respective duties and locations. The improbable future is, when I finish the talk, we'll run to the airport, board a flight for Europe, and spend the next 30 days on the French Riviera. Sounds like a great idea to me, but you have to admit that both probabilities exist. So what I'm asking you is, what does your probable future hold for you 20 years from now? Where will you be in 2044? 2044. Certainly we'll be on Mars by then, wouldn't you think? I would. All right. So 2024, what inroads will have taken place in the human experience? Let me bring somebody into the waiting room here. Where is that? There you go. What new inroads will have taken place in the human experience? Will you have embraced the new technology? I mean, imagine the possibility that exists. An explosion of information is bringing us into the future. Some of us kicking and screaming. We can be pushed, we can be led, or we can step forward with confidence. The choices we make will influence our journey. So we want to act through foresight, not react through insight. Our world, you've heard me say this probably before, talking about the speed of the world changing. Our world is moving so fast nowadays, it's difficult to keep up with it, let alone understand it. We put men and machinery on the moon and nearby planets. We have submarines that'll dive to the ocean floors. Our nuclear physicists and biologists are probing the innermost particles of matter. Our computers can solve some of the most complex problems of life in literally seconds, but we're still faced with a challenge, which, if not handled, will plague us on into the future of our children and the future of our grandchildren. The dilemma: how to keep people paced with technology to enhance the human experience. Albert Einstein put it this way. He said, the unleashed power of the atom has changed everything except our thinking. We need to address that issue, especially as a Mars Society ambassador. I'm going to say the network of the 21st century will collapse time and space. It will erase cultural boundaries, and it'll bring continents and people closer together. If that sounds too good to be true, it wasn't all that long ago that no one heard about a cell phone. I mean, we're talking instant, handheld, worldwide, personal video communication. We've got people on the site here from Yucca Valley. We've got people on the site from West Germany, from Africa. We've got them on Sri Lanka and from San Antonio, Texas. Instant, handheld, worldwide video communication. It's amazing. The world is changing. The whole nature of our planet is to change. It's a dynamic, volcanic, meteoric, geologic mass, and it moves, it orbits, and it changes constantly. And we can't stop it. We can't even slow it down. And as generations of people shift in social structures and governments and, well, I would say, beliefs and values and educational norms form and reform, change and modify, we've got to move with change or we'll be swept off into oblivion. But here's my prediction. I'm an optimist. With that, I believe that this change, when it comes, as it unfolds, will increase the importance of respect we have for the world around us. And I would like to thank those with whom we associate and those with whom we don't associate. As I mentioned many times before, the solid basis of any society is respect, ethics, diversity, and trust. And I would probably throw dignity in that aspect as well. We all like to be respected and we like our words to be heard. So winding this down, I think what we need to do is leave the world with a glimpse of as it was when it was formed, not as it was when we were through with it. And we can't stop change, but we can shape it. We can't stop progress, but we can progress with it. The future is where we will spend the rest of our lives. I'm going to ask you to choose yours wisely. Ashton, I'm so glad you chose to pick up the ball, move this ambassador program forward. I want everyone to give her the support that you have given me. And as she said, I'm not going anywhere. We're just transitioning. I often say the Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones. The Stone Age ended because we transitioned into a new form of making tools and various aspects in our lives through iron and that type of thing. Comments, questions, thoughts, insights, anything you want to share. We're looking at almost 2:45. I'm going to have to bow out here in just a few minutes, but thoughts on today's program. I see Ed thinking. What's going on, Ed?
The points you made were really important, I thought. Um, the Mars Society, we have an opportunity to accomplish things now and in the immediate future that we couldn't have done 10, 20, 30 years ago because of technology.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to working with Ashton and other ambassadors. I think you indicated we may have a meeting at the convention. That would be terrific.
I
A
think we're
meeting
going to,
where we can exchange ideas on how do we reach out. There's a huge, huge audience out here in the United States, on all of the continents. That audience in favor of going to Mars is going to increase as we get closer and closer and closer to actually setting foot on Mars. And we've got to figure out, and we will figure out, ways of reaching that huge audience and recruiting the best of the best in that audience to the Mars Society, and some of them becoming ambassadors. So our initial goal, which I think is achievable, doable, 100 ambassadors, I think that's a realistic goal. And a few years from now, the goal might be 1,000 ambassadors.
It could very well be, Ed. Thanks for bringing up the conference. Those of you who are going, there will be an ambassador track so that you can get together and we can share ideas and communicate our feelings and how we can better ourselves. Some of the things we did wrong, some of the things we learned from, some of the things we can do right. And we're also going to have an ambassador recognition on the first day. So, and Ashton, I believe you're pretty much going to MC the conference. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So I'll be hosting, interviewing, and introducing all of the speakers.
Marvelous, marvelous.
Who here? I know Ron's going to be there. Who else is going to be in attendance? Just like quick show of hands. Yes,
Thorsten, excellent. Ed, excellent.
Ron, I'm pretty sure Ron.
Yeah, we got, okay, I see 4 so far. Okay, well, I'm excited to see y'all in a couple months.
Excellent.
I have a question regarding that. I understand we can also attend virtually if that's the option that works for us. Does that mean that when we have these meetings of the ambassadors that you'll be able to include the people that are attending virtually?
Ashton, do you know about that?
I don't know about that yet, but thank you, Bob, that you bring up a good point. Let's see what we can do to make those, like during the sessions of the day, I imagine we can have a virtual option for those as well. And then I was thinking as well, like we do something in the evening, like, hey, let's all go grab dinner or something, like whoever's in town. So maybe that will be separate. That might be hard to do a virtual meeting for, but for the days, I will see if we can have virtual attendance for the ambassador track as well.
That would be great.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Ashton, welcome aboard to your new position. Congratulations on your new marriage.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
A major milestone. I just celebrated 53 years with my wife.
That's incredible.
Actually, you can make it if you just work on it.
Right.
I did have a question about the goal of the Mars Society. I've heard various projections on when we plan on being on Mars, all the way from Elon Musk to the society to NASA and all that. And it ranges from we'll be there by the end of this decade to Mars. We'll be to Mars at the end of the next decade, or that we'll be to Mars by the end of the decade after that. And for clarification, I'm wondering what the current position is of the Mars Society.
You know, the Mars Society obviously is to have humans on Mars within this decade. Now, as Elon said a couple of days ago in the video that Ed graciously shared with you, or will with all of us, he said 3 years to Mars. So we're looking at 2027, basically, to have vehicles on Mars, and probably, he said it'd be about 3 vehicles, 3 starships. then maybe another couple of years, because it's the cycle of getting the 26-month period of maybe 10 to 20 starships with a crew or crews, and then take that further. Of course, his thought is to, by 2050, have a strong, sustainable civilization on Mars. That's the prospect. It's a goal we need to shoot for. I am an optimist, not a pessimist, but I think our window of time, just by who we are, is diminishing. When I talked about respect, ethics, diversity, trust, and dignity, I think it's greatly lacking in our world today. I don't want to take any position one way or the other, but I know we don't determine ambassadors by the color of your skin. We don't determine ambassadors by what kind of foods you eat. We don't determine ambassadors by just simply your vision to bring people together, communicate with others, and be people who actually make things happen. So congratulations, all of you. And it's been sounds like I'm going somewhere, but I'm not. It's been my extreme pleasure to get to know you personally. And we haven't met, but we will in many cases. So I look forward to those times when we can. Final questions?
One comment. So regarding the question about humans on Mars,
Yeah.
I literally just got confirmation for the July episode of Red Planet Live. We are having on 3 individuals from NASA, specifically the Mars Exploration Program. So that would be a good time to tune in, ask your questions. Again, we record it live, so you can put your questions into the chat, and I will read those throughout the interview. So if you want to ask that particular question, July 2nd is a good time to do it.
Yes. July 2nd, is that when the next?
July 2nd, yes.
Okay, July 2nd, and that's 5 o'clock East,
Pacific time,
Pacific time. Okay.
5 p.m. Pacific time. Yep.
Tune into this gal's program. If you haven't already, you'll be very surprised. It's extremely informative, very engaging, and it's one that it's not to miss. So again, thank you very much for your time, your ideas, your thoughts, your insights. And I'm going to bid adieu for the moment, and we will see you again very soon. We're in touch, so you be in touch.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, signing off.